Oh. Narayana. Jnana, or knowledge, is of the infinite, that which has no form, that which has no name. Vijnana, which is Vishesha Jnana, a special knowledge, a distinct knowledge, the highest knowledge, is of the infinite, which has no form and no name, and also knowledge of Bhagavan. That's the infinite with a form and a name. If we all think about what we typically study in our Vedantic settings, in our centers, we tend to focus on jnana. We have lots of descriptive words of what Brahman is and the cause-effect relationship and so on. But we don't study too much Vijnana. Vijnana is Brahman expressed as Bhagavan. And consistently, people in this field, people in these circles share, it is more difficult to describe and understand Bhagavan, that is the infinite with a form and name, than to understand Brahman, that is the infinite without a form and name. So what you and I are doing right now through our study of Vedanta in Ramayana, that is Brahman in Bhagavan, is a very special experience. And what makes this even more special is today is Deepavali. Today is Amavasya here in North America, and since we celebrate in relation to what has happened in Bharat, so many people celebrated yesterday, today. Today is the day that Lord Rama arrives back to Ayodhya after 14 years. Now you have to visualize this. You are a Ayodhya Vasi. You're someone who lives in Ayodhya. You've been waiting 14 years for the love of your life to come back. And you're standing there with these thalis that have these diyas on it, these clay vessels with oil and a wick, and it's lit up. And there's Bhagavan Rama, who's coming with Mother Sita, who's coming with Sri Lakshmana. How you would feel in that moment. Deepavali is not about giving gifts and getting gifts. It's about receiving Bhagavan Rama. And who is Bhagavan Rama? Bhagavan Rama is joy, independent joy. Today we celebrated a new year. So my question to all of you is, what's new about it? How has this past year been different for you as compared to the year prior? And if the answer is nothing, then what makes this a new year that will be different? When we become Ayodhya, when we stop fighting with ourselves, the dialogue between the mind and intellect, the need to be indulgent yet disciplined, when this fight stops, that's where joy will be. So I wish all of you a joyous Deepavali, not just a Deepavali, but a joyous Deepavali. May we all be independently joyous. Okay. How many dialogues are happening in Goswamiji's Ramayana right now? 4. This is Rama's Charitra Manasa. There's a lake of the stories, the glories of Lord Rama. And to access this lake, there's 4 entry points. They're called ghats. How many of you have been to a ghat in Haridwar or Rishikesh? You know those entry points to get into the Ganga? So you have this lake of Lord Rama's glories. That is how to be happy. And there's 4 entry points. So try to tune into this. The first ghat is where Bhagavan Shiva and Bhagavati Parvati are thinking about Lord Rama. And this is happening in Kailasha. And this ghat is known as the Jnana Ghat. Their focus is on knowledge. To get into this lake, the perspective they're adopting is knowledge. The next dialogue is happening between Yajnavalkya Rishi and Bharadwaj Rishi. So we went from the Devatas to the Rishis. Their dialogue is happening at Prayag. And here the ghat is karma. The way that they're focusing on Lord Rama is through selfless action. The third dialogue is between Goswamiji and sadhus, people who study and share the message of the scriptures. This dialogue is happening in Chitrakoot. This is a place where Lord Rama lived for some time. And this is called the Dina Ghata. Dina means someone who needs help, someone who has surrendered. We say Dina Bandhu, the friend of those who need help. So that's the Manavas. So Devatas, Rishis, Manavas, and now we finally go to the Pashus, to the animals. And I'm only saying animals, but these beings are not animals. It is Bushundi and Garuda. Bushundi is in the form of a crow, Bushundi and Garuda, and their dialogue is happening on Mount Meru, which is symbolically the center of the universe, and their focus, we've covered jnana, we've covered karma and dina, so what remains? Bhakti. Their focus is on devotion. So this is the dialogue. Now last week when we had completed, I said that we're getting into the katha now. We're getting into the narrations of Lord Rama's glories. Lord Shiva heard that Agastya Rishi is describing Lord Rama. He's describing happiness. And when happiness is talked about, then people are attracted to that. So Lord Shiva really wants to go and listen to these glories of Lord Rama. So he goes with Sati Ji. Her name is Sati, and I have to say Ji, because I can't just say Sati at this portion in the Katha. And Lord Shiva is listening with such attention to Agastya Rishi. And what is Sati Ji doing? She's playing with her iPad. She's checking her text messages. She's not interested in what Agastya Rishi is sharing. And if you think about this more, maybe that means she's not interested in independent joy, isn't it? Because that's what Lord Rama is. And after they listen to Agastya Rishi, then what happens is they go back to Kailasha. And when they go back to Kailasha, Bhagavan Shiva stops calling her Sati and starts calling her Daksha Kumari. There's such detail in each expression. Now he's not associating her independently. He's associating her with her being the daughter of Daksha. And Daksha is this loose cannon of a leader. So in essence, he's not insulting her, but he's saying that this is how you're thinking right now. You're thinking about the world instead of thinking about peace. Isn't that how we insult people sometimes? Like we say, you're an American, right? Or we say, your parents are like this, or your family's like this. So Lord Shiva is not saying this maliciously, but he's trying to bring this to our attention. Okay? So our katha continues. I'm looking at the 49th section of Chopais. I'm looking at the first Chopai on page 44. So again, the 49th section of Chopais, the first Chopai on page 44. And what Goswamiji says, Ravana Marana Manuja Kara Jacha Prabhu Bhidi Bachanu Kina Chaha Sacha. Ravana had asked Lord Brahma for a boon. What was Ravana's request of Lord Brahma? That I only want to be destroyed at the hands of a Manuja. Manuja means a man at the hands of a human. And prior to this chopai, Lord Shiva, as he's leaving Agastya Rishi's ashram and going back to Kailasha, when he heard these narrations of Lord Rama, he wanted to see Lord Rama with his eyes. See, Lord Shiva is the guru. He knows Brahman, but he wanted to see Bhagavan. How does Brahman look? It's like me describing Niagara Falls to you with my words, but you still want to see this with your eyes, right? You want a more holistic picture. So Lord Shiva wants to see Lord Rama. And then this is connected by Ravana asks Lord Brahma for a boon that he can only be killed by a human. So Lord Brahma grants him that boon, and Ravana's causing chaos, so Bhagavan Vishnu has to take an incarnation to destroy Lord Brahma. Now, as Lord Shiva and Mother Sati are going back to Kailasha, they see Lord Rama. And Lord Shiva is so happy that he's able to see Lord Rama with his eyes. And when does he see Lord Rama? On his way to destroy Ravana. And when Mother Sati sees Lord Rama, she's not so happy. And I'm going to elaborate on that shortly. Bringing this to a more subjective meaning, okay? As we study Vedanta and Ramayana, I'm always going to give you some of the Puranic meanings and then the subjective meanings. I just completed the second half of Hanuman Chalisa in London, and this is exactly what we did. We went through the 40 chopais and what are the stories related to it, but then what can we do with that? What is the subjective meaning? So Lord Shiva wants to see Lord Rama. Ravana needs to be destroyed. Lord Rama is the person. When Lord Rama took incarnation, he came as someone following Manava Dharma. He came with the responsibilities of a human. At no point did Lord Rama reveal his true nature. And if you compare this to Lord Krishna came with Ishvara Dharma. Lord Krishna came as the infinite, and he didn't hide that for a moment. From the time he was born to when all of those terrorists tried to kill him, he was the kid who was able to do whatever. So Manava Dharma, Ishvara Dharma. If Lord Shiva went and prostrated to Lord Rama, right away, people would know that this is not Lord Rama. But he had to follow the dharma of a Manava because that was Ravana's boon. What we understand in this is, if you and I follow Manava Dharma, we will be led to Ishvara Dharma. If you follow your responsibilities as a student, as a professional, as a volunteer, whatever your responsibilities are, you will be led to Ishvara. And Ishvara is that independent joy. Think about how people want to be happy. I've shared this with you many times. If you want to be happy for an hour, what should you do? What is the best way to be happy for an hour? Take a nap. If you want to be happy for a day, play a sport. Right? Today's Sunday. People are happy for Sunday and miserable for Monday through Saturday. If you want to be happy for a month, what should you do? Get married. That's a honeymoon, right? If you want to be happy for a year, what should you do? Win the lottery. After that year of playing with money, you're back to probably being less financially stable. And if you want to be happy for a lifetime, what should you do? Help others. But we follow Sanatana Dharma, and we know that there's not just one lifetime, there's endless lifetimes. So our question is, how do we be happy forever? And the only way to be happy forever is to know that you are Ishvara. And that can only come by being responsible. Dharma. Someone had asked me recently, where does God live? a young girl had asked me, and my response to her was, how many people live inside of you? And she got really scared by that, by that question. There's more than one person who lives inside of me? But what I was trying to explain to her is that there's who she is now, but then there's her potential. Those are the two people, who she believes she is and who she actually is. When you and I are honest that we are not living up to our potential, that's when we become more responsible. That's when religion finds its place into our life. Another word for religion, according to Swami Chinmayananda, is rehabilitation. As long as you think you're happy, then what does religion help you with? But if you're honest that your happiness is dependent, if I open the blinds right now, it's very dark in Niagara Falls, and now SAD will kick in, seasonal affective disorder. We need the sun to be happy. We need sports to be happy. We need company to be happy. That person who's honest that they're very dependent, they need recognition and praise and credit, that person starts to become more aware of what their potential can be and starts to follow it. You and I should be like an eyeball. So we've done this many times. I want you to slowly take your finger and bring it to your eye. Okay, slowly take your finger and bring it to your eye. Okay, keep doing that. Now slowly bring it to the eye of the person next to you. And immediately, everyone will protect themselves, right? They'll close their eyes or move their hands there. Madhusudana Saraswati, who's a great thinker on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, he says we should be an eyeball to sorrow. You know how sensitive our eye is to any sort of movement, a dust particle, a hair, too much moisture, too much dryness? It's so sensitive. My hand is not like that. My back is not like that. My tongue is not like that, but my eye is. We should be that way towards sorrow. If there's any anger in our lives, we should feel so miserable about it that we want to change that. If there's any jealousy, we want to change that. If there's any procrastination. When I ask younger people, what is it that they want to change about themselves the most? What did they say? Procrastination. But they never do. They procrastinate with changing their procrastination because they're not eyeballs. They almost embrace that procrastination. That's what you're supposed to do in high school and university and so on. Lord Rama has come as a human to teach us how to live as humans. And in this, his love of Lord Shiva is shown. His love of Lord Brahma is shown. If you really love yourself and the people around you, be responsible. Okay? We continue. More of the katha. What else happens? So I'm now moving to the 50th section of Chopais. That's 50. I'm looking at the 4th Chopai on page 45. Goswamiji says, Tina nripa sutahi kina paranama kahi sachidananda paradhama. When Lord Shiva sees Lord Rama, who's wandering in the forest on his way to destroy Ravana, Lord Shiva stops and becomes so overwhelmed with emotions. His eyes are watering up, his hair is standing up, from his body. His jatas are still hanging down. But he's just so moved by seeing the infinite with a form end and name. And this causes Mother Sati to have a doubt. You're supposed to be Jagadishvara. All of the gods and men and sages, they bow to you. And here you are bowing down to this prince? This prince, and you're calling this prince Sachidananda? That this is the infinite? And as this katha goes on, Lord Rama, through the forest, he's weeping. Because at this point, Mother Sita has been kidnapped. And as Lord Rama is weeping, as he's expressing his emotions, Lord Shiva is weeping more, becoming more emotional, and Satiji becomes more skeptical, more doubtful as she sees what's happening to Lord Rama and to Lord Shiva. And Bhagavan Shiva is our awareness. He can read Mother Sati's mind. We see that often with parents who know when their kids are not well, right? Physically, mentally, or between spouses. You know when something is not going well. So Lord Shiva senses this apprehension of Satiji. And so he says to her, I don't think you believe that this is the infinite. So why don't you go test? Go test this Prince Rama to see who he really is. And again, he doesn't say it in a passive-aggressive way. He's saying that in a way to clear her doubt. If you have this doubt, go do something about it. And there's more to share about that. But I just wanted to bring in another reference point. How many of you have studied Guru Gita before? Okay, a few of you have studied Guru Gita. I spoke about this briefly, I think, in Portland. I think I did Guru Stotram, but not Guru Gita, I think. Have you all heard me speak about Guru Gita before? The context of this? Okay, it's really lovely, which is why I'm going to bring in this other reference point. I was speaking on Puja Vidhi the other day, so speaking about the philosophy and practice of puja. And I shared that at our altar, we should have one icon of our Ishtadevata, the expression of the divine that we love. And we should have an icon of our Sadguru, the figure that is guiding us towards our potential. And your altar should be clean, simple, inspiring. CSI, clean, simple, inspiring. Now, many people cannot get it in their heads about putting an image of your Sadguru and your Ishtadevata on the same plane, at the same altar. It makes them really perturbed by this. And it's fascinating. Only those people without a Sadguru are the ones who are perturbed by this, isn't it? So how Guru Gita begins. Mother Parvati is sitting in Kailasha, just enjoying the weather, right? She's the daughter of the mountain. She loves being there. And in the distance, she sees Lord Shiva gathered with some other beings, but she doesn't know who they are. And then she sees Lord Shiva, and he's very distinct, right? His skin is white as my kurta is, and he has this blue neck. And she sees him prostrating, and she's startled by this. So she gets up from her seat, and Lord Shiva is walking back to Kailasha, and she meets him halfway and says, Bhagavan, what were you doing? He says, I was in satsang. What were you doing though? I just saw you prostrating when you're the creator, you're the sustainer, the dissolver of all of this satsang. Who are you prostrating to? And Lord Shiva was so happy to have a spouse who would ask such a question. He says, no one has ever asked such a beautiful question before, and I want to share this answer with you for my benefit and for yours. And he says, I was prostrating to the Guru. And then hundreds of shlokas are given on the greatness of the Guru, of which you and I chant 13 of them, typically on Sundays, which we call Guru Gita. Guru Gita is not a pickup of 13 verses directly from Guru Gita. They're actually selections from Guru Gita. And one of the shlokas says, that person who thinks the Guru is different than God, that person is a papi. That person is a sinner in the sense that they have a closed mind. Closed-minded people are sad. So someone who thinks that the Guru and God are different, they're making themselves sad. Why I brought this up is Satiji is doubting Lord Shiva. Mother Parvati was not doubting Lord Shiva, she was just inquiring. They're very different. Giving someone advice versus being passive-aggressive is very different. The texture is different. Okay. When Lord Shiva tells Mother Parvati to go test Lord Rama, he sits under a banyan tree and says, you should go. Now, whenever Lord Shiva or Mother Parvati travel, who travels with them? Lord Shiva's Vahana travels with him. And who's Lord Shiva's Vahana? Nandi. Mother Sati or Satiji goes by herself without Nandi. The banyan tree symbolizes faith. He sits faithfully. Satiji's thinking logically. And that's why she leaves, Lord Shiva, she leaves that banyan tree. For those who have studied Sri Rama Gita, those Panchavati, those are those 5 trees of faith that you are to have. Faith in the infinite, faith in the creator, faith in your guru, faith in the scriptures, faith in sadhana. So she leaves faith operating on logic. And she leaves without Nandi. Nandi again symbolizes dharma. So she's being irresponsible. When she goes to test Bhagavan Rama, who does she disguise herself as? Today's Halloween, or tomorrow's Halloween. Halloween was originated from Ramayana also. So she disguises herself as Mother Sita. Mother Sita. Now, if I'm looking at the Ram Darbar, okay, and the Ram Darbar is walking, who's in front in the Ram Darbar? Traditionally, Lord Rama. Who's in the back, traditionally? Sri Lakshmana. Who's in the middle? Mother Sita. So Lord Rama's walking through the forest with Sri Lakshmana. Both are not happy because Mother Sita has been kidnapped. And now, all of a sudden, Mother Sita shows up in the forest. Now, Mother Sita doesn't come from the back. She doesn't come from the middle. Where does she come from? The front. She approaches Lord Rama from the front. And Sri Lakshmana right away knows that this is not Mother Sita because she would never approach from the front. Lord Rama offers his pranams to Mother Sita, who is really Mother Sati, and says, I am Rama, son of Dashratha. How is Lord Shiva? Asks Mother Sita. So he knew right away who this is. And this is showing some of our traditions. In front of Bhagavan, in front of the Guru, you never approach from the front. You always stay behind. In fact, you never sit till the Guru sits. You never get up till the Guru gets up. You never eat till the Guru eats. Once the Guru finishes food, you are also then finish your food. So this past week, I had 3 bhikshas a day. And I ate well. I lost weight this week, though. I measured my weight before I went to the week of the Jnana Yajna, and I actually lost weight, which is a successful week for me. And I was telling them that bhikshas are most difficult when you eat with Swami Tejomayananda. Because he's always served first, and then everyone's spread out, and if you happen to be sitting at the end, then you get served last. And he always eats just a little bit, right? He's a smaller person, and you have to finish by the time he's finished, right? So to escort him. So you hardly ever eat in bhikshas when Swami Tejomayananda is there. So the real bhiksha begins when he leaves. Then you go back and have your second round of food. And my point being is that when he finishes, you finish. But you see, Mother Sati went in front. And whenever you meet Bhagavan, whenever you meet a wise person, you always have to introduce yourself. Remember all of the people who have been on yatras with me? I've told you this. Say what your name is, say where you're from, and then speak to whatever acharya. I was in one center, and there's so many people around. It's a busy time. Guruji is there also. And this one lady comes up to me and says, "Do you remember me?" And I was really mentally tired. I said, "Nope," and I kept on walking. Not even trying to have a dialogue, but I just felt like, how am I supposed to remember you in this context? If this really was Mother Sita, she would have said, I'm the daughter of Janaka. She would have introduced herself there. Humility. I'm here. You know, sometimes people come home and say, hello, I'm here. But it should always be about the other person. You know, this is my father, this is my city, this is my wife, or whoever it is. Now, when Lord Rama tells Satiji, you know, how is Lord Shiva, she's so shaken now. She's just perturbed. How did he know? And so out of fear, she takes off and leaves. Okay? Remember, this is all Bhagavan's Leela. This is all his play that is going on. So what happens next? We continue. I'm on the 56th section of shlokas, chopais, I'm sorry. It was 56. And I'm on the first chopai. The first chopai in the 56th section on page 48. Mother Sati goes back to Lord Shiva, and this is what happens. Kachuna paricha lina gosai kina pranamu tumari nai. So when she goes back to Lord Shiva is sitting under this banyan tree, calm, quiet, still. And he asks Satiji, so how did your test go? What happened? And she says, I didn't test him. I just did my pranams just like you. She says, I just prostrated to Lord Rama just like you, and I came back. Now what we see here is, because she was afraid, what did she do? She lied. Fear leads to weakness. When all she needed to do with Lord Rama or Lord Shiva, she just needed to say, I was wrong. Not even I'm sorry, she just needed to say, I was wrong. But when you and I are afraid, it makes us weak, physically weak, mentally weak. Our speech becomes weak. As Mother Sati was coming back to Kailasha, everywhere she looked, what did she see? She saw Mother Sita, she saw Sri Rama, she saw Sri Lakshmana, everywhere. Millions and millions and millions of Ram Darbars everywhere she looked. And what's very beautiful about all of this, as she saw each of these scenes, in every scene, Mother Sita was wearing different clothes. Lord Rama looked a little bit different. Sri Lakshmana was sitting or walking in a different way. No Ram Darbar was exactly the same. And I'll tell you what this means. When she came back to Lord Shiva and Lord Shiva said, how did the test go? And she said that I didn't test Lord Rama. Lord Shiva became very sad then. He became sad because this is his wife. He also became sad because he's a guru and she's a seeker. And if you remember, it was last week or 2 weeks ago, I had said that with one's guru, you have to be honest. You have to be more honest with your guru than you are with yourself, poetically. When Lord Shiva became sad, he remembered Bhagavan Rama. He just sat down and he thought about Bhagavan Rama. In other words, he didn't let himself get lost to grief. He brought back memories of happiness. And he was sitting there. And Mother Sati knew that Lord Shiva knew that she was lying. And it said that every moment of Mother Sati's felt like a yuga. Time was going so slowly. Because in that moment she knew she was wrong. We're the same way, isn't it? When we've done something wrong, doesn't time move slowly? And when we've done something right, it flies by. Time flies when you're having fun. Having fun is being responsible. Not having fun comes with irresponsibility. Now, what does some of this mean? Remember I said everywhere she looked, she saw Ram Darbar. I had mentioned that Brahman, knowing Brahman is jnana, knowing Brahman as Bhagavan is vijnana. What we understand by Mother Sati seeing all of these beings as Lord Rama, etc., is the all-pervading nature of Brahman, the all-pervading nature of Bhagavan. And why they were all different. Okay, a quiz for all of you. You have 3 options, okay? Is Sanatana Dharma a monotheistic religion? Option number 1. Option number 2, is Sanatana Dharma a polytheistic religion? Option number 3, is Sanatana Dharma a monotheistic polytheism? Okay, how many of you think Sanatana Dharma is a monotheistic religion? By show of hands. Okay, option 4 is you do not know what any of these words mean, okay? So I'm going back to option 1. Sanatana Dharma is a monotheistic religion. Okay, option 2. Sanatana Dharma is a polytheistic religion. Option 3. Sanatana Dharma is a monotheistic polytheism. Option 4. You do not know what these words mean. Okay. Sanatana Dharma is a monotheistic polytheism. Monotheistic means we believe in one divinity that's expressed as a poly. Mono is one, poly is endless. I'm just trying to highlight for you the detail and the Vedanta in Ramayana, that how come they all look different? They could have been presented as the same, but that's teaching us the truth of monotheistic polytheism. Now, many of us, we've known each other for many, many, many years, right? I've been coming to your centers for many years. And all of you look different, I look different too, but we're still the same being. Monotheistic polytheism is the most natural religion because that's who we are. I am a husband, I am a son, I am a brother, I am a student, I am a teacher, I'm so many things. But it's still monotheism. I'm still me. When Mother Sati lied to Bhagavan Shiva, what did Bhagavan Shiva say to her? Nothing. He said nothing to her. And why this is important is when we deal with adults, I'm talking about communication, leadership here, when we deal with adults, often telling an adult or preaching to an adult when they don't ask for it actually pushes them away. Doesn't it? She's an adult. She's Satiji. She knows that she's lying. She knows that she's wrong. By Lord Shiva not saying anything shows his greatness. In fact, another word for definition of guru is the one who swallows our weaknesses. He did not push that upon her. And this is something that's great about him. And he never lost himself and look at this is how my wife is. He remembered Bhagavan Rama. He never forsake God for his family. He never lost his calmness, his quietude, his stillness. Someone had asked me in the Moha Mudgara course, how do you know if you're being a better parent? How do you know if you're being more independent? Because we've been focusing a lot on attachment. And I said, you feel less agitated. The more agitated you are with your child, with your spouse, with your boss, with your neighbor, with your volunteer, the more attached you are. The less agitated you are, the more independent you are. The better the relationship you have with that person. So this is where we're at right now. And what we'll take up next week, I just want to share one more point here. Soon after, Mother Sati's father, what's his name again? Daksha. Daksha Prajapati, the one who's engaged in action, the one who creates. He organizes this huge party. He calls it a yaga, but it's just a party. And he invites everyone. And who's not invited? Bhagavan Shiva is not invited. He is not a happy father-in-law. Now you think, would you want your daughter to marry someone like Bhagavan Shiva? He lives on a mountain. All of his friends are almost dead. They're bhutas, they're pisachas. He has all of these animals who are not licensed. Right? Do you want your child to marry someone like that? So, that's how Daksha is. But really, if your child is going to marry someone like your Lord Shiva, you'll be enlightened. Right? You got to look deeper. And Mother Sati finds out about this party. You know, you could relate to this. It's Deepavali. Imagine a huge community party. Everyone's invited but you. But you're all Vedantic students. You have no FOMO. You have JOMO. Let them enjoy their song and dance like Nachiketas. You are happy, thinking and engaging in sadhana. When I had come back from the Vedanta course, then we had invitations to weddings and birthdays and so on and so forth. And I started traveling a lot, so it would just be a consistent, we can't come, we can't come, we can't come. And now it's great, people don't even invite us anymore. It saves them paper, it saves us an email, it's fine. That's JOMO, the joy of missing out. Lord Shiva's not invited? JOMO. Mother Sati's not invited? FOMO. See the destruction, that all came from Ramayana. And she tells Lord Shiva, this is my father's home. I should be able to go. And Lord Shiva specifically says, you're right. When it comes to your... I wanted to bring this up. Just to show you the detail. I'll bring it up next time. But essentially it says, when it comes to your father, your guru, your friend, and I think it's your sibling, you do not have to go with an invitation. You can just go. But Lord Shiva warned her, saying that your father, he's up to no good right now. And she goes anyways. And when she goes there, she sees that everyone is enjoying and that everyone has been invited. And Lord Shiva is still in Kailash. He's not been invited. And that insight that comes to her in the moment is, when my Lord, that is Lord Shiva, he guided me. You know, he never said anything to me, but he's helping me grow. That pain that came with that was fine because I knew it was for my growth. But the pain of my husband, the Lord of the universe, being insulted, I can't deal with that pain. And what Goswamiji says is, this is her prayaschitta karma. This is her atonement, is that feeling of just being her husband, her family being insulted. She can't bear that. That's her atonement. Okay? You see in this we study all the karmas too. Our regular karmas, special responsibilities, selfish actions, the prohibited actions, the atonement actions. So our katha will continue next week. Narayana.